So I just wanted to kind of go through this documentary that Fig just released from 2019 and just go over the points I found interesting and point out just a few things. And I think it was done really, really well. And she asked some questions that a lot of us have always wanted to know. And so here we go.
Along with her grandparents, Libby lived here with her sister Kelsey and their father Derek.
Living at the house with you, Becky, were you and your husband, Libby and her father. Is that correct?
And Kelsey.
And Kelsey, I apologize. And Kelsey, Libby's older sister. Okay.
Cody was on too.
I'm sorry, what?
Cody, my other son.
Oh, and your other son, Cody. Okay. So those were, there was nobody, like no friends stopping in, staying there for a week. There was no guests or anything, right?
No, anything. My house was full. There were 6 of us.
Okay.
Libby was outgoing, flamboyant, wanted to try and do anything and everything that there was to do. She kept us busy all the time. She was very social, lots of friends, very intelligent. Anything that there was going on, yep, I'm in, let me in, I want to go, I want to do it.
Enthusiastic.
Oh, very much so. Lots of laughter in our house.
If you guys could just maybe sort of set the stage for me.
So Sunday, Abby came over here. The girls spent the night upstairs. They were painting and they did the musically and they sang songs. I mean, they just, the stuff that they do. They're just
Being kids.
And they didn't have school on Monday, so they slept in. They didn't get up till probably 10 or so. Kelsey came down and said, I'm going to go on into work. Well, as soon as Libby heard her say, hey, I'm leaving, she jumped right up and said, hey, can she take us to the trails? And I said, you're going to have a ride home. She said, well, I'll just call Dad. So they left. They left here about 1:30, and Kelsey dropped them off. It was around 1:38. Then Derek called, it was at 3:11, to say, hey, I'm getting close, you guys head up so that I can pick you up. And she didn't answer, so he left a message. And then he got there and he called again and said, hey, I'm here, where are you? She didn't answer. And by 3:30, he calls me and said, Mom, Libby's not answering her phone. Will you try call? By this time, it was getting close to 4 o'clock. And we knew this isn't Libby. And that phone is tied to her hip, you know. She doesn't put that phone down. So we knew right then something wasn't right.
I started walking and looking as well, and then she asked me to call the police. So by this time, friends were calling and people just started showing up, searching. There's flashlights just flashing all over Delphi. Somewhere they kind of called it and said, you know, hey, we need to reconvene in the morning. Got a few hours of sleep, then went back in the morning, and then I overheard on the radio that they potentially found the girls.
My sister come running up to me. She just kept saying, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And then that's when we saw the coroner's van go by. There's only one reason that a coroner's van goes by. So at that point in time, without anybody telling us anything, you could put 2 and 2 together. Everything's kind of a blur at that point in time. You're just numb. You're just going through the motions. You go home.
I think of what the last half hour, those girls' lives were like. Nobody should have to go through that, and it makes me angry.
I don't know why, but Mike always just sketches me out. But anyways.
Brought me upstairs and they told me that they had found what they were pretty sure was the girls. And even then, that wasn't the hardest day of my life. You think something like that, there isn't a day that gets worse than that, but it turns out that the days after that are way worse. Because it's everything else that we're not ever going to get. There's not going to be a graduation, or her first car, or college, or grandbabies. She'd have been a really good mom.
Libby had captured an image and an audio recording of her would-be murderer just moments before her death. For reasons we may...
Yeah. A thing over his face? Isn't that weird? As a writer, timeline is always really important to me because it helps determine cause and effect of the crime.
I spoke with Libby and Abby's families to get a sense of what the girls were doing leading up to their arrival at the trail. And we know where they were at 2:07, based on Libby's Snapchat post. Jess gave me a timestamp for Bridge Guy's arrival at the trail. But there are a lot of other gaps I need to fill in.
In order to really understand the flow of the crime, I need to walk the same trail that Libby and Abby did the day they were killed.
So now we can go through all the locations that we know for a fact we can pin. Here, Mike, is where the girls get dropped off right here. This is Mears property, and that was at 1:38 in the afternoon. So the girls came this way. They walked from here to Monon High Bridge, and then at 2:07, it looks like Liberty, from the point of view of where the shot of Abby was taken, she was almost across Monon High Bridge on the south side. So between 1:38 and 2:07, the girls walked this trail.
Yeah, 30 minutes.
Now, when they got to the south side of the bridge, we don't have the timestamp on the picture of Bridge Guy that we have.
Right.
So the only way to deduce when he actually got to the bridge is based on the fact that we have a witness. And the witness puts him at about 2:15. He's just arriving at Freedom Bridge.
So he's got a book to get from there all the way through this trail across that bridge to meet up with them. So if it's just a product of opportunity, probably would have been caught by now.
If Bridge Guy was out for a random kill that day, he had the opportunity when he passed our friends. They were almost the same age as Abby and Libby. So Mike and I are on the same page. This was not a crime of opportunity. It was premeditated.
If this crime was targeted, then I think we have to think about somebody knew when they would be here.
That's all social media. Everyone has the ability to see where you are.
How long that took for you to get here?
2 minutes?
38 seconds. That's a long time. If I'm scared and I'm standing here,
If I'm scared, maybe the girls were not in that much fear.
Mike's a wonderful balance for me because he's constantly reminding me to not go on assumptions, which I like to do as a writer. He's telling me facts, facts, facts. Maybe Mike's right. Maybe Libby wasn't afraid. Maybe she was just taking a video and he happened to walk into the frame, or maybe they were meeting somebody there.
All we know is that at some point after that image was captured, Bridge Guy reached the girls, presumably in this very spot.
so there's a right there.
So this is where the girls...
Such a loneliness out here. You know what I see when I look at this place? I mean, look at it. It's wide open. If I were coming here to conceal a body, this would not be the place I would choose. I mean, it's literally like the Globe Theater. This is actually the most wide open area of any of the woods surrounding here. So what I'm doing is trying to imagine the mindset of the killer. That's what I do when I write. This is my amateur sleuthing. Ready? Are you ready for it? It looks literally staged. If I'm following his logic, to me, this killer came here, dumped the bodies in an area where he wasn't particularly trying to conceal them. I think he was actually trying to present them in a certain way. But here's my question to you. How he got those bodies across the river, or he got those live girls across the river, I have no explanation. How did they get over here?
That's what really struck me about this case. What is law enforcement hiding and why?
The frustration that I'm reading online that is abnormal. The refusal to release more information is actually impeding the investigation because people are feeling very frustrated. So I guess I'm giving you a chance to sort of respond to that.
We have to protect the integrity of the investigation. And it's to protect the family. The family doesn't want us to release the details of this.
They don't?
No, absolutely not. Would you?
Well, I think at this point, after 2 years, where there's been no movement on the case, if I were a family member, I would ask law enforcement to release more information because.
And they have, but.
And what specifically?
Oh, they've asked us to release more of the audio, more of the video, but we're not.
They have then?
Yeah, they've asked. But there's some details in there that I don't think that if I was a family member, I would want the public to know.
You don't think cause of death or mode of death would help narrow the playing field?
No, I don't. Not at this point.
Did you find a lot of evidence on the location where the bodies were found?
Can't really talk about what we found, what we didn't find. And
Do you have the phone?
yes.
You do? It was recovered? Wow. So are you able to investigate all of the people on her social media sites?
Yes. We have knowledge of who she was communicating with. We feel like that photo, that voice is enough for the public to help us identify the person. That's all we want.
But the public hasn't helped you, and it's been 2 years based on the information that you've released.
That's all we can release at this point.
Last time you communicated with Libby?
February 13th, 2017.
The day before she died.
Yes. We were just on the phone all night.
Was she like looking for boyfriends on social media?
Libby was very active on social media platforms. Like, she talked to a lot of people.
Did they talk to strangers online?
They might have been. There was, I don't know if this has anything to do with the case, but there was a instance on Facebook where like I was busy playing video games and she was trying to get my help. Like she was like blowing up my phone and I was ignoring her for a little bit because I was playing video games and she's like, I need your help, I need your help. There's this guy that won't leave me alone. So like I wasn't really responding that fast. And then the last thing she said was like, never mind, I got it.
She said, I got it?
Yeah. I kind of left it alone after she said she got it because I didn't really think anything deeper of it.
Do you know how old the guy was?
She believed that he was 19.
Yeah, but I mean, it could be any.
Yeah, it could be some older guy in a 19-year-old disguise.
How long before she died was that?
That was back in January, I want to say.
So only a couple of weeks out.
Early December, January.
I mean, don't you think that's relevant?
Yeah.
Did you bring that to the cops?
Yes, I did.
You did, and they did what about it?
They took pictures of it. I hadn't heard anything after that.
Okay. Unheard of. I mean, Libby seems to have been on several different platforms. She didn't have any kind of privacy settings or anything like that on it. I mean, you can see it here. Look at how she describes herself and.
Liberty German, single Pringle. I'm 12 years young.
She was on Musical.ly at the time, right? This is her bio. Check it out. It says, patiently waiting for Peter Pan to come take me away to Neverland. This is actually one of the posts that she did with Abby. This is close to the time before the girls went missing, right? So I looked at the comments of the people that were corresponding with her, and see there's this one here that says hi, and then Libby says, who are you, right? Well, he never answers. So I looked into who it is, and it turns out that he is 48 years old. He lives here in Delphi, and he's a felon. So I actually checked it out, and he doesn't fit any of the physical markers of Bridge Guy because they're saying Bridge Guy is between, I think, 5'5" and 5'9" or something, and this guy's quite tall, but that's not the point. The point is that she was very exposed.
What about the families?
The other day I met with the Patties. So Liberty was living in the house with her grandmother and her grandfather. Her father also lives in the house, Derek German. Derek German has not gone on camera. He has not responded to, any requests to make a statement about what's happened to his daughter. I don't know much about it, but tell me what you think of all this.
This is Derek.
Liberty's dad.
Well, there's a felony, misdemeanor and another felony, and they all look like possess and or manufacture drugs.
Meth. You get the picture that this was around Libby in that house.
All that says to me is there's drugs and these girls were murdered. They're not necessarily attached.
All I'm saying is her dad was involved in some scary stuff and maybe she got caught in the middle of it somehow.